So you guys know as well, I don't hold negative intentions, even against the Draco Royale. Um, the reason why I mention this and going into more details with what I typed and put up on my post earlier regarding that is that because of what I've done with the twin groinal lower frequency pincers of limitation due to the frequencies of which we live within, well, I basically took control of it and moved it and paradoxically it over my shoulder, down my back, created angel wings out of it instead. But in doing so, I created a 166 degree placement of gauge for that continuous strengthening process of which is simultaneously dissolving. And through doing so, the divine feminine in both myself and Amelia is growing stronger, which means that everybody else's frequencies won't have a chance to get in. And if and when required, we have the spiritual empowerment between us where we can sort anything out with anybody. Now, going back to the Draco, I've also gauged to realise in the past that potentially the agenda, if it is self-limiting, because that's what the Draco would actually be doing, is he's limiting himself, he would be, if he was to deal with me in such a manner, is that potentially they try to drive a linearity through us, because they think the original emotional intelligence is a fucking scorpion, basically spiking them. That's why they're spikes. The reason being is because you bring two of them together enough and you create a single line, don't you? And that line goes up through you, through your chakras, through your pineal gland, both sides, and it curves over into a beak, you see. It's like a... And that's what happens. And that's what gets dissolved. And that's what the Freemason symbolism is, you see. It's the same thing. Right? So, because I paradoxical it over my shoulder, down my back, and that was during the process of when I was having to deal with lots coming in me karmically due to the people that I had connected to during PTSD as well as afterwards. I had to deal with that, so I realised that it was basically eating away our emotional intelligence, our sovereignty recognition of self. So I owned a lot of it. I paradoxicaled through it, out the other side, back, whilst empathising through from both sides. So essentially I took control of the mechanism because, and it wasn't done overnight, this was over a given time, changed it, upgraded it, updated it, turned the fucking linearity that it tries to create into a more refined fizzle of a feeling that doesn't hurt the divine feminine anymore. When it gets really now down to the real intricacies of what it creates within you, I've modified it because I took control of it, took over it, amalgamated myself into it, and energetically, on a deep fucking level, turned it as best as I could into love. It was a divine masculine's recognition of love, but it still kind of was love, basically. And then the line that it creates, I upgraded it. I went into finer details of it and basically turned it into sort of like a little fizzly type of almost waveform, I suppose. And that's now in me. That's part of the 166 degrees that I created, which is going to overpower most people, and it's going to be too great of an emotional intellectual grasping in fineries for reptilian consciousness to be able to gauge and then use it. So it's going to dissolve, and everybody's going to get upgraded, everybody in the matrix, because I've upgraded the actual device, consciousness limitation device itself. And it probably gets projected out, I'm guessing, through the moon or bounced off the moon over the planet gravitationally, because it's a quantum energetic level, and they've created it at some point in the past. Now, going back to the Draco again, because of what I went through, and I decided with all this stuff coming in on me that I was going to take ownership of it all in several ways. And that was a couple of years ago now. I actually drove myself through what was having at me without attacking it, just pushed my dominance through and out through it, while still maintaining a unity recognition of connection to Emilia Clarke and her energies. And then and went to the highest frequency I could and raised it to so I basically went lower than the mechanism could go, and I've gone higher than the mechanism can go, and I've empathized from both sides of it, because I'm able to go into something but also draw back at the same time as pushing in with empathy. So I'm going in two directions at once, whilst paradoxically and energetically with Emilia, whilst at the same time paradoxically in between the two, well, masonries, because that's what it is, it's linearities that it creates. So I know what it is. And going back to the Draco, because I went to such lower frequencies and then brought them up for about the last 2 years, and I'm still kind of dealing with it now to certain levels, I've had to deal with lower frequencies all through me. And it's, think of it like, if you're a living flame, think of the centre of the flame, the black. Instead of it being small, it was fucking right up, and yeah. So I could have done myself harm. I tried telling Emilia that over social media, wasn't getting anywhere. She could end up dying still from an aneurysm through this. I don't know whether that's helped, but we're clearing up stuff now that had gone into the cranium, the lower frequencies that brought up. Now, because, now going back again to the Draco, is that if he thought that he was going to drive a linearity through us and fucking have us that way, well, because I've gone lower and took over those frequencies, and because of everything I've done with the mechanism, it means that, and all of those, that huge flame spike of lower, a void within me that I've had to sort of amalgamate over time, and it's taken years, that will get reversed. Because if he tries to come in me now with a linearity, because I've taken ownership and still amalgamated the lower frequencies with a greater EQ, he will spike himself. That's all that's going to happen. If he comes in at me with a limited narrative of his own self-serving agenda, I'm going to fuck him up, and he can't do anything about it. So he's stuck in my paradoxical, right? He's my pet lizard, because I've also owned him logically with paradoxical logic. I know where the fucking linearity came from. It's the fucking scorpion that he ran away from as a lizard and couldn't deal with, because it's a fucking geometry of awareness that's beyond his gauge. So his lesson was, well, I've got to get spiked in the fucking head then, haven't I? By a fucking scorpion. And that's what the linearity is. And he fucking knows it. And I know it. So I will become the scorpion on him with a greater fucking truth if he tries anything funny. If not, well, then we're all right, because he can continue being my pet lizard, and I can continue co-creating a greater relativity of truth for him in the first place, because I'm doing him a fucking favour.